Well, summertime at the Red River Gorge means more sun, more hikers, and unfortunately more injuries.
The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team is always ready to go when needed. Our Mandy Noell joined the team at the gorge during a training course to find out what it does and why.
Take a look around. We're standing in paradise, especially if you have a love of the outdoors. And that's why you're coming here to the Red River Gorge, right? But if something goes wrong, one simple slip, one simple fall, the paradise can turn into a real nightmare. And these are the people that you want on your side.
Get a little slack on.
No matter the emergency.
Lost hiker, someone who's injured on trail, someone who's in peril in the middle of flood waters, or someone who's fallen off a cliff.
The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team sees and responds to it all.
The busiest wilderness search and rescue team here in Kentucky and possibly on the eastern coast of the United States.
Chief photographer Noah Lockard and I joined them for part of a 2-week technical high rope rescue course earlier this month. Practice for the inevitable.
You're the people who have to do this.
All right, set her down.
I don't know of anyone else that's going to go out and get people in these circumstances.
The 80 or so men and women on the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team will. Day or night, summer or winter. They don't do it for the money. There isn't any.
We're entirely dependent upon the generosity of others and to grants.
Why then?
All right, moving into the go zone.
I feel like I need to give back to my community any chance I can.
Being part of the Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team is truly a calling.
Hours upon hours of training keep them sharp and skilled.
This is a spot they call the Rabbit Hole. It simulates one of the most popular attractions in the Red River Gorge, which is Chimney Rock. It's an easy hike, but it's also one of the most deadly spots where people who are out for the day tend to fall to their death.
In fact, the team says Chimney Rock is the deadliest spot in the Red River Gorge area. The exact number is unknown, but Mays says more than 25 people have died there. This descent is a safer route to practice rescuing a fallen hiker or recovering a body.
Every single year, we are doing more and more rescues.
Likely thanks to the pandemic. That's why practicing the techniques with the gear, with the ropes, and with each other
Red as we're moving
is critical.
If you don't use it, you might lose it, so we just constantly want to refresh and work on new strategy.
On this exercise, I was the victim, a climber stuck on a rope.
Hi, this is Danielle with Search and Rescue. I'm here to help you out.
A technical rescue mid-air. Every rescue has a story. Drew Stevens remembers rescuing a camper who wanted a sunrise picture.
He actually slipped, fell, and slid about 15, 20 feet before he actually fell off a cliff into a crevice, injuring himself gravely.
Hypothermic, massive trauma. The Wolfe County Search and Rescue Team responded and saved his life.
Several of our team members are what's called wilderness first responders, which are basically an advanced first aid course.
On the ground, but we need sled.
Morgan Burton knows the stories don't all have happy endings.
It's about a Boy Scout who a tree had fallen on.
A spot designated no camping.
Our team members immediately started doing CPR and tried to resuscitate and do anything that they could do.
A tiny body carried out of the woods as scouts, leaders, and the boy's father watched.
Go ahead and lower.
The most dangerous are when hikers fall down cliffs. Dangerous for hikers and rescuers, so they practice with actual cliffs.
So right now, what I'm in is called a Stokes basket, and Morgan and the team here are lifting me as though I'm someone who's injured. So this is called a high-angle rope rescue.
No one sets out on a trail intending to be hurt, lost, or need saving. But if you need them, they'll be there. In Wolfe County, Mandy Noell, Fox 56 News.
We're continuing to learn more about Caleb Conley, the Scott County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed this week in the line of duty.
Over the last few days, stories have flooded social media, highlighting how his service extended far beyond his sheriff's uniform. Fox 56 morning anchor Mandy Noell spent time with some of Conley's extended family at Licking River Outfitters, where Conley volunteered a lot of his time.
The people here at Licking River Outfitters in Cynthiana, Caleb Conley wasn't just a volunteer who spent time here. He wasn't just a deputy, he wasn't just a veteran. He was their brother. He was a member of their family. I asked them each, what's something you would say to somebody who never got the chance to meet him, who may be watching this? You missed out.
They've missed out on a true, genuine individual.
Hero.
Very much hero.
A life of service to country, to community, to family, and fellow veterans.
I need my brother back. That's what I need.
Licking River Outfitters serves disabled veterans and terminally ill or disabled children, with all expenses paid hunting trips. Founder Robin Gassett and manager Chris Griffiths say last year Conley helped build a new hunter's blind on the property, dedicated to a fallen soldier.
We actually used some metal that
Came off his house.
And to build the blind.
Conley wrote a message inside it. November 14th, 2022, finally sat in the stand that was built with metal from my first home. A part of me will forever be here. Caleb Conley, Operation Iraqi Freedom 07-08. And his son Riley signed it too. It was a special trip. This is a photo from that day.
I think he knew that when he got out of the service, he needed to be somewhere like this because these people were his brothers.
The walls lined with patches, coins, and medals left by service members who came through and also chose to leave a part of themselves forever. Conley spent 8 years in the Army. When he wasn't with veterans, he taught kids how to shoot responsibly once they were old enough. He was a hit.
Joking with them, watching cartoon shows with them, laughing with them.
Throwing football.
Conley's whole family spent time at LRO, including his wife, Rachel.
He loved Rachel from day one, and he was head over heels for her.
His daughter isn't a hunter yet. She's still learning the basics.
We were at the ballpark just the other day, and Caleb taught her how to roll her eyes and flick her hair, and she was going around doing that and showing that off.
Griffiths remembers the day Conley was sworn in at the Scott County Sheriff's Office.
Very, very happy day for Caleb. He was very happy that day. Caleb had wanted to be in law enforcement pretty much his whole life.
They describe him as a bit of a prankster, a friend, a helper.
That's what he loved. If he could make somebody smile in a day, I think that was more or less his job.
His presence is still here.
He was headed for greatness. I looked up to him, and I got grandkids almost as old as he is, and I looked up to him. But there's no limit to what he could have accomplished had he been able to hang around.
That blind that Conley helped build out in the woods isn't going anywhere, but they are going to build one in the very near future in his honor.
In Cynthiana, Mandy Noell, Fox 56 News.
The man charged.
Talk about the 150-year history of the Derby, and when you try to encapsulate all the fantastic moments and just what the Derby means as a story in history, you look through the lens of the men and women who have been at this event for all those years and decades.
Their photos, their images, their videos tell the story in a way that nothing else can, because you're witnessing it through their eyes. And so when I wanted to tell this story of the Kentucky Derby, I Googled Kentucky Derby, Lexington, photographer. One name popped up, and we are happy to give you the story of award-winning photographer, Bill Straus.
My first Derby was in 1976. I missed 77, and I've been there every year since 78, except for the pandemic year.
Photographer Bill Straus's career spans 6 decades of the Kentucky Derby, from his first
I went to that first one as an assistant
to everything in between.
I've been there at 85 degrees, and in I think it was 87, we're sitting on the track looking at snowflakes.
His home is a museum of Kentucky Derby memories.
Here is Silver Charm in the 123rd Derby, winning colors, who won the Derby in 1988 as she's coming into the winner's circle.
He has photos of A-list celebrities and presidents.
Bob Hope, John Wayne, 3 presidents.
One time, he met Jack Nicholson.
Early in the afternoon on Derby Day, looked quite nice in a suit.
And caught back up with him later in the day.
His tie was loosened, his collar was unbuttoned, his hair was disheveled, so I figured very quickly that he'd been up in the clubhouse enjoying the day.
There was the time he struck up a friendship with a celebrity crush.
78 with Affirmed, The year I met Bo Derek.
Straus got a picture with her and sent it to her in Hollywood.
And then all of a sudden, I got this handwritten note back from her.
Then there's the evidence of 1 year.
This was during the filming in 1987 of a TV miniseries called Bluegrass.
Straus himself went Hollywood.
I was not only an extra, I rented them cameras to use as props.
Straus treasures the relationships he's built working the Derby, the doors it's opened. His second year, 1978, his photographs were featured in Blood Horse magazine and the Thoroughbred Record.
That gave me a great deal of legitimacy.
Legitimacy led to work. Work led to photos. And photos led to awards.
Bill Shoemaker in '86, when he won on Ferdinand.
His work has appeared on more than 250 magazine covers.
What's your favorite photo from the Derby you've taken?
Alex Sheba.
The one that's on?
Yes, the Thoroughbred Record cover.
The 1987 Derby. Straus watches the Derby change year after year. One thing that hasn't changed, the feeling that this event is larger than life.
Do you ever get nervous?
Yes, every year. I've told this many times. As they are loading the gate, I can feel my palms get sweaty, and I get a little nervous.
We're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Because it's the biggest race in the world.
He said he's just really proud. He's from Kentucky. He loves the fact that he is one of the people who gets to show the world the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
And he's so proud of his state because it's all about Kentucky across the world on this day.
Yeah, and I know, we work in the visual medium for TV where a lot of times it's moving pictures, but there's something about a still photograph that is even more powerful than moving video.
And it's like, if you know, you know. It's one of those things. You may take 100 pictures at an event, but you know that one that's just special.
Yep, exactly.
He also was the official photographer for Keeneland for a number of years. And through that, he met Queen Elizabeth. 2 of her trips here, he was also her official photographer, which is really cool.
That's a sweet gig, as we like to say.
In the city of Buckhorn, neighbors describe it as a war zone, and they say we need more help. Mandy Noell speaks with a neighbor who spent hours pulling his friends from their homes.
Right now, neighbors in flood-ravaged communities can't think about the future because they wake up to the past. Destruction and devastation sitting in their yards.
I come back down the holler, and everything was gone.
Chris Barong relives the early morning hours of last Thursday.
People screaming, buildings collapsing.
Barong spent hours in the floodwater.
So you're going into places,
Yes, ma'am.
passing people out,
Yes,
and then
ma'am.
everybody's handing off. So what, were you up here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. It was all up there.
So in total, how many people were you able to get out?
2, 3, 4, 6. 6 that I can remember.
But you acted with extreme heroism that night.
Nothing I wouldn't have done for anybody else.
You'll have a hard time finding this community on a map, but everyone here knows it as Kineva. And when the floodwaters rushed in, the homes were tossed as easily as the cars. There are at least 5 homes that the floodwaters picked up and swept off their foundations here.
In fact, there are 6 houses. Across this region, wherever you go, people point to the destruction of Kineva.
And once it started to float and move, all the rest were pushed and pushed and pushed, essentially pancaking.
Barong couldn't save one woman. She was pinned. She drowned. He rescued her daughter. They don't have water and probably won't for 6 months. But that's the least of their worries.
And it just feels a little bit like we've been forgotten.
These houses sit and they don't have the resources to clean it up.
Here, Governor, what we need is the heavy equipment here. Show up for us.
Barong and Heather Collins want to make sure all the people helping know they're grateful.
I don't want to downplay how much they've helped to bring water and bring food, but
Everybody's tired and wore out.
Tired and wore out. It's been a week now. We need these homes taken care of, and none of us have the financial means to go rent heavy equipment.
Across the mountain, Buckhorn School will not open its doors to students next week as planned. The doors are gone.
This is people's houses from up Squabble Creek.
It's in no shape to open.
Makes you want to cry. I don't know. Thursday was really hard. It's gotten a little better every day, but you still have moments and you just break down and and ball.
Buckhorn School Principal Tim Hooten walked us through the halls.
But it was pretty much underwater.
Debris broke through the doors and windows and flooded the school. Inside, mud is several inches thick.
We have several students that's been displaced.
Everything is broken and flipped over, covered in mud.
We're looking at a few months, several months. We're going to be back. Buckhorn strong and Wildcat proud.
Some of his students live over in Kineva. The outlook there isn't as optimistic.
I talked to FEMA today. That was not a situation that I left feeling any better.
They've been told by agents there won't be much help.
You'll have an inspector come out. He's going to tell you that you can't have anything. And then you'll have to appeal it. And then you're going to get a little check. And then you're going to have to appeal that. We are at a loss. There is nothing else we can do unless we get some real help.
In Perry County, Mandy Noell.
Coverage of the deadly flooding in eastern Kentucky. Our Mandy Noell went to Perry County to find out how people there are trying to pick up the pieces.
It's all a matter of perspective. Over my shoulder, it looks like we're standing beside a clear, serene, normal flowing lake. But if you move a little further over and shift your perspective, what we see is chaos. It's destruction. It's what neighbors have been picking up from. There's supposed to be a bridge going across this creek at Feltner Lane. Instead, we have trees uprooted. We have garbage. There's what looks like pieces of a building, and the bridge itself is further down the creek. Neighbors say this is what they're seeing too, and they're trying to pick up the pieces.
Wanda Miller lives on Lots Creek Road.
One of my son's best friends lost their house and everything.
She can see the creek from her porch.
We were surrounded. We watched the vehicles go down the road, the pontoon come to us, but we's all okay, and we're very blessed.
Perspective.
Our garbage can got washed away, and if you look down there, there's a cross. So that means God's watching over us, so we'll be fine.
All the neighbors are out trying to wake everybody up and get everybody out.
Neighbors here help neighbors in need. Everyone that Miller and her neighbor, Brandon Fugit, live near is okay. Their homes are drying. Some things need replaced, but it could have been much worse.
My sister's high school friend, they found her mom and dad in the house together dead.
Miller is a paramedic. Her husband is the 911 director. They know tragedy. They see it every day.
My husband went into work for a little while today, and they're retrieving all kinds of bodies. So we're blessed.
It's not lost on Fugit either.
A lot of people lost everything. Some people still missing, unaccounted for, so it's been pretty rough.
Still, neighbors stopped by all day looking to lend a hand.
There's still good people that are willing to help.
So this is a story that's about tragedy. It's about destruction. We've seen lives lost. We've seen homes ruined, families still searching for loved ones. And in the middle of it all, Miller talked about that cross. This used to be where they kept their garbage. And she says, now I can look out my window and see the cross there, and I still feel like I'm blessed at the end of the day. In Perry County, I'm Mandy Noell.